Hey guys, Joe Blue here, back again with another episode of Filthy Hunt Cheaters. Got a quick clip today for you that happened in my recent stream. I'm going to use this clip because it's a little bit more interesting than the usual cheater clips. And I haven't had anything unusual happen for quite some time. So I'm going to use this clip. We're going to get straight into it now. Okay, so I'm going to start the clip from about here. I'm basically going to kill this one player here. Then I'm going to basically let the video run in its entirety. I will put a timestamp to skip to the next point, and this is just to put in the fact that you never hear this guy's footsteps. There's no indication this guy made any noise whatsoever, so it's going to be a long one just because I'm going to have to put that context in here, and you can check for yourself whether or not you heard anything, and I'd play it from here. I mean, you might say that sound of cans being kicked might have been them, but it could just be a zombie. There's no way to know for certain. It says that it's white, so presumably if they were kicking cans that I could hear, it would most likely be red, right? So there's nobody in the vicinity right now. The cans being kicked must be from a grunt. Okay, so this is basically the first time you hear this dude. Basically, you hear like footsteps on metal and that is it. And you just see him just peeking around the corner, so that would mean he knew exactly where I was, right? He's peeking just enough that he's trying to see me without being seen, right? So you can see him here, and you can see he's just peeking, looking straight at me, peeking just a tiny bit around the corner directly at me. And you've only just heard him here. You've heard nothing preceding it. He's just like landed as if teleported to location, or he's like fly hacking, right? He's like flying around and he just landed, like with the no footstep cheats, right? That I've shown before in the past, where you jump in the air and you float, and then you can jump again, and then you'll drop and you'll make the falling sound, but you won't make any footsteps while you're flying in the air. So there's the footsteps, immediately lands and immediately looking at me, which is just weird in itself. You basically land, footsteps, and you're immediately looking straight at me. So strange. You're not like why would you be making them footsteps at that point if you've walked the entire way and you were creeping all the way down? Why would you, before you've even peeked around the corner, make a landing sound or a footstep sound at that point when you could just be crouch walking, right? The entire time. That metal footstep is too loud to be a crouching footstep, right? So it had to have either landed from falling or was walking or running, and you heard no footsteps preceding it. And to land and be immediately peeking, looking at me, is almost certain that they've got wall hacks and they know where I am to be looking. You'd think, because it makes no sense. You creep walk the entire way and peek and you'd see me, but to make a landing noise on metal and be immediately peeking me, both of those things are strange, even more strange together. Tried to get a hit there if I could get his shoulder, but didn't get it. Again, it's like he's making metal footsteps again. See, the worst part is, if I just go back again, is you can see him literally falling forward. You literally see him like jump and fall. So he's moved like in a way in which he's either been in the air and fell, or he jumped, but you never heard a hut, you never heard him jumping in the air. So either he's got a cheat to make no noise when he jumps, or he's flying in the air and he dropped to the ground and he's like making the noise to bait me over to him. So you can see him, that's the sound of falling. You've landed like you fell from somewhere, and he hasn't jumped anywhere. And I don't know how else you can make that falling noise happen if you haven't fallen. Tried to go for the shot, like he knows that I'm there now. We both know each other that we're there. So I tried to run in, and obviously I'm expecting him to be in the doorway where he was peeking, right? Because I've not heard him move back or make any footsteps that he moved from that position. All I know is that he's on the location where he was peeking and hasn't moved. So I'm looking where he would be to get the shot on him, and he's not there. No, he's actually up here instead. So I basically lose this trade because I never heard him move back and move around to where he was. I just thought he was here where he was peeking and hadn't moved, and he'd just be standing in the doorway for a relatively easy kill. But somehow he also moved back without making any noise. So right there you can see they have no light foot, they have no sure foot. So they've got no way to have silent crouching footsteps, and they've got no way to make themselves move faster while crouching. I only say that because this guy looks like he might be speed hacking, maybe. I was watching it, I was thinking, he looks like he's moving like a little bit faster than normal, just ever so slightly, a little bit faster. And also note how quiet this person's footsteps are while he's crouch walking. A lot of times he's crouch walking over wood, and that's quite loud, and I can barely hear this dude's footsteps. Even when he's moved away from the boss and he's walking around, you can still barely hear the footsteps. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's something about it where it's like he's moving and it seems like he's just moving a little bit faster. Just a tiny bit. I don't know if this is my imagination. Maybe I'm just seeing things. It just seems like he's just moving just a little bit faster, like by a small percentage, just a little bit snappier, a little bit more fluid. But listen to his footsteps going up the stairs, up wooden stairs. You can barely even hear this guy's footsteps. Barely hear it. But again, it looks like he's moving quite fast, like he's got sure foot. But he doesn't have sure foot. Like, maybe it's the clown skin. Like, I don't know, maybe just maybe that it's this ball thing. Like, maybe it's just like this you see at the bottom of the screen here. So we get this like ball that's on the clown skin. Like, maybe it's just seeing that there, and the way it moves is creating a false perception that this guy's moving faster. But it just feels like he's moving faster, just ever so slightly. But I think it's just the smoothness of the ball on the skin and the way it moves without any kind of, like, almost independently of the way the character's moving. I think gives the illusion it's moving really smoothly in a fluid kind of way. I think it might just be a bit of an optical illusion maybe, but I do get the sense that it's moving smoother or faster in some way, and it's hard to put it's hard to explain or describe what I'm thinking or seeing. When they started walking forward, it seemed extremely silent walking. Like, did you hear any footsteps when they were walking forward? There was no steps. There was not a single step on the ground. Like, you heard more footsteps when they were crouch walking than when they started walking forward. It's almost like he heard somebody was coming, flipped on his no footsteps, tried to walk forward silently to try and get out of the way, and then had to run, and then when he ran, that made footsteps. Or maybe it's because, you know, the person could see him, and maybe these no footstep cheats turn on and off depending on whether or not a player can see you or not. I don't know. But this guy walks forward and there's no footsteps. Like he was walking forwards then, right? Like, you can hear footsteps here. He's walking forward. There's footsteps. You can clearly hear them. Right, he crouches. He hears the door, and then he stands up and he walks forward, and you don't hear any footsteps, not a single step. Like, you should have heard footsteps there. There's at least 2 or 3 steps there that he made, and no steps were made. So if we can count where the footstep sound should be, right? I think that's 1 footstep, 2 footsteps, and then like 3. There's at least 2 minimum footstep sounds that should have been made that didn't make. Now you can argue the third one is being covered by the gunshot sound. There is 2 clear, distinct steps being made, and you never heard a single footstep. Like, he's crouch walking, and he goes from crouch walk to walking, and then his first few steps when he starts walking don't make footsteps. Now, I don't recall whether I'm crouch walking, or whatever, that my first few steps when I'm walking make no footsteps. But this guy, apparently, his first few walking footsteps don't make any noise, and his crouching footsteps seem to be also reduced in their volume. His running footsteps, however, do make footsteps immediately, but it's only his walking footsteps that seem to be missing on the first few steps. Again, this looked weird to me when I saw it in replay. I thought it just looked a little bit weird. But you see how he shifted back to walking and he made no footsteps. So he makes no footsteps on there. He drops down, he runs up, and then he walks, and then he makes no footsteps when he's walking. And how many times am I holding an angle, and then a dude comes around that corner making no footsteps? And this guy literally goes from sprinting, stops to walk, and then walks around the corner with no footsteps. Those first few footsteps that don't make any noise. This guy walks around to basically try and catch this dude off guard without hearing any footsteps. Okay, no footsteps, runs, drops down, stops, walks forward, no footsteps. I think that's why it was making me think, that's weird. Is he moving fast? Is he like janking his animation somehow? Because I'm just seeing him move forward, but I'm not getting the audio feedback that this character's moving. I think that's what making me think that there's something weird going on with his animations, because sometimes he's moving and there's no audio feedback of his player model of his character, and that's making me think that he's speed hacking or floating or something like that. That's making it look perceivably odd to me in my brain. I think it's the lack of footsteps intermittently that's creating the illusion of like he has no animations, or he's just moving smoother than he actually is, because you're not getting that sort of thud of the audio feedback of his movement. Like, am I losing my mind, or the guy just literally sprint around to the dude making no footsteps? Like, did he not just literally sprint to the dude? He walked forward, made no footsteps, backed off around the corner, sort of give the illusion to the other dude that maybe he was going around the corner, and then he just sprint back around again with no footsteps. No footsteps. Walks, no footsteps. Literally no footsteps. The only sound that is made is going over the glass. The glass made sound. There's footsteps on wood, however, made no such footsteps. And we heard that he does make running footsteps when he sprints forward earlier. Right, when he drops down. When he runs forward, after when he takes the shot, he runs and he makes noise. And you can hear it over the gunshots. Right, we heard all those footsteps, even the footsteps on wood, the footsteps on metal. Then he's gone off, landed, footsteps, still running footsteps. Then he walks forward, no footsteps. Backs away, still no footsteps. Now the other person might think he's backed off, and then he sprints back around again, and he makes no footsteps. The only noise that gets made is the glass bottles here, and then everything else, there's no footsteps at all. Alright, okay, so I'm just going to add this in here. This happened on my most recent stream. I'm just going to add this into the video here, in which we see a guy move across here with broken animations, makes no footsteps, and then his animations come back. Now this could be potentially what is happening with this other player in this episode. So just going to play this clip here and show you what I mean. And as you can see there, he goes across the screen with broken animations. Just for a few steps. Gets to about here, and then all of a sudden runs back. Some people say on my stream it's because he hits the ramp that makes him walk, but I'm pretty certain like his animations begin to come back around about here. See, before he actually hits the ramp. Like right there, so you could say the animations hit there, but it looked like it was more like the frame before. Like right here, the legs move there. So the first sign of actual movement, like the animation like fixing itself, happens here before they actually hit the ramp of the wood. So it's literally like for about 2 steps, for what would be about 2 steps. Right, so really about two steps worth of animation of what would be footstep sounds are not happening, and this could be what is happening with this person in Spectate. Every time that they make their footsteps disappear for the first few steps, their animations could be breaking. That's one possibility. I also believe that it's possible that they're floating above the ground just ever so slightly, just like a millimeter off of the ground. Now, if you go back to Hunt episode 5 of this series, you will see the people, the person who was using like a flying hack or exploit to fly above the ground in order to produce no footsteps. I think there's on the PC there's an advanced version of this in which they float just ever so slightly off the ground that it's imperceivable. If you saw it happening at distance, you wouldn't be able to tell if somebody was floating off of the ground. And I believe that the noise traps, the broken glass bottles, are placed ever so slightly higher than the ground. So even though they're high enough off the ground to not trigger footsteps on the ground, they are low enough to still trigger the glass bottles, and that is why you see this person sprint up the stairs making no footsteps, going over the broken glass, making the broken glass sound, then going onto the metal part where the other dude's making metal footsteps, making no metal footsteps, coming back across the way, making no footsteps on the return journey, then making glass bottle sounds again as they go over the glass bottle sounds and back onto the wood, and you don't hear any sounds on the wood. So it just seems like there's no footsteps happening anywhere except the glass bottles, and logic, it seems quite obviously to think logically that the reason for that is because the noise traps are slightly higher off the ground, and even though they're off the ground slightly, it's still low enough down to trigger the bottle sounds to be made. At least that's one possibility. Or it could be something like this where the animation is breaking. I fucking flopped those shots, man. I only got myself to blame on that one, I think. Oh dear. Gotta go get your mate though, he's burning. You gotta get your mate, he's burning though. He does have bounty though, he doesn't have to get him. Fucking hell, traded. He got around there fast without any footsteps. That's a little bit sus, man. Ain't gonna lie. Okay, so I had to search for the person's profile. I've had to take this from the stream because I don't have it actually clipped because I'm using the Steam recorder. Not Shadowplay, doesn't record my overlay. So I've had to search for the player's name in game. So you can see here it matches the person's name perfectly. When I searched on Steam, there was no one else with this name, not even close. This is the only account that came up, so I can only presume that this is the person. They had 33 games on their account on a 13-year-old account, so not many games. It says 25 here, but when I hover over it, it does say 33. It's it's a bit blurry, but I think you can just about make out that it says 33. And then their avatar is basically a goat head. This is like goat worship. The Baphomet, this is like satanic occult imagery here. Anybody that's going to like embody or glorify or use the imagery of Satan and Satanism, I'm going to think immediately that these people may have questionable morals. They might not be the most upstanding citizens and would be more likely that they're a cheater in a video game than not being a cheater. They seemingly are, you know, they like evil. They like evil and evil things. So if they like evil and evil things, then logically they may do evil things, like cheating in a video game, for example. There's also a few comments here and there of them cheating in their comments, but not many of them. There was like 100 pages. I checked a few pages. There was like 3 accusations of cheating, but I didn't check all 100 pages of their comments. So there might be more, but there are some accusations of cheating in their comments as well. But that about does it for this episode anyway. Just this clip here, and I will be back with another episode at some point in the future, maybe this month. Hopefully we'll be doing some Marvel Rival stuff as well, so it's just fitting in when I can get the content done. And that's it for this episode, guys, so catch you all later. Peace, GG's, take care, I'm out of here.
coming for you. Look, there comes one of them now.